Hi, I'm just making this video as an accompaniment to my 15 placement study guide, which is my free PDF ebook that you can get if you sign up on my website. So if you haven't got this PDF book, then go to my website, click the button, sign up there, and it'll be emailed to you immediately. And if you have got it, well then thank you for signing up. So I thought I'd make this little video just to show you how I think the best way to practice what's in this book, and also why I did it and why I think it's important. So if you get your study guide, you'll see that there's essentially two main pages in here of exercises, which is the 15 placements downbeats and the 15 placements upbeats. So what are the 15 placements? Well, this is a concept that was first introduced to me by my teacher, the great British jazz drummer Trevor Tompkins. But it's quite a universal concept. It's about working through every combination within one bar of 4/4 time. So if you take a bar of 4/4 and you take a one beat cell of an idea or a rhythmic phrase, and when because you've got 4 beats in the bar, but you can combine 1, 2, 3, and 4 combinations of that, and what you end up with is 15 possible combinations, 15 placements within a bar, if you just take that one idea. And what you do is you practice moving it through all those. So why do we do that? Well, essentially, I think this is a fantastic exercise to develop your coordination for comping on the drums when we're playing jazz and we're doing comping. So what do I mean by that? I'm talking about what the snare and bass drum do essentially whilst you're keeping time on the cymbals. So to get the best out of this, when you practice, what you need to be doing is playing time on the cymbals and then working through the exercises on the snare drum and the bass drum, okay? And to really help with that, what you need is a play-along track of a nice bass line to play along to. And guess what? I've done that for you too. So if you go to my website, you'll see my free drumless tracks, which I'm going to use on here now. So I've got lots of different styles on there, lots of different tempos, so you can practice at different speeds. So essentially, the idea is that when we're comping and we're playing on the snare, those little snare and bass drum phrases, what you're improvising that in real time, in the moment. And what you're should be listening to is the piano player or the guitarist, because when they're playing the chords behind the soloist, they play those little short stabbing chords, and you're interacting with that and kind of working on that kind of level with the pianist. You're working together with the pianist, and essentially what you're both doing then is pushing the soloist forward, give him a little prod. Now, of course, you also got to listen to the soloist, and sometimes it's nice if you're interacting with the soloist a bit, using the same ideas, like playing in the gaps and pushing them along. So the comping is what we do whilst keeping time. It's improvised. Now, essentially what you're doing is responding and reacting to what's going on around you. And to do that, you need to be able to play at any point in the bar and be completely comfortable with that, so that you can execute your ideas immediately as you hear it, so that there's no barrier. So that requires a lot of coordination. And what these exercises do is they give you that coordination. So the basic concept is this: in order to be able to play anywhere in the bar, you have to practice playing everywhere in the bar. And so the 15 placements covers every placement. And so if you work through all those, then you know that when you come to that moment in the music where you're improvising and you're playing freely, and you have an idea, and you try to play a note in a certain point in the bar, you've already covered the coordination to do that. You're fine, you're covered. Okay, so that's the idea. So these are very important things to work on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a couple. I'm going to look at the upbeats, and I'm going to play with a track. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this, and I think there's one way which is better. So rather than work through them all on the snare and then work through them all on the bass drum, I don't think that's a very good way to do it, because essentially what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be thinking about the drums when you do this. You want to be thinking about the music. So what I like to do is just take one placement and then work it on the snare and the bass drum, and then improvise, placing it around the kit. Of course, you can put this on the tom-toms as well. So what I'm trying to do then is just think of a phrase, like a melody in my head. And this is where it gets really interesting. You start combining those orchestrations on the different voices of the kit, especially when you get several notes in a row. You're starting to get kind of melodic ideas on the kit, and that's what you want to work on. So let's look at the first one. Let's just play number 1. Okay, so we're going to play the upbeats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my drumless play-along tracks. So there's some jazz walking bass lines there. And I suggest you start nice and slow. I'm going to start on a sort of medium tempo here. We've got 140. So what I would do is I put the track on, and what I'm going to do, and this is very important to do, is play a bar of time in between each exercise. Don't just loop them in a bar, because then it becomes like a beat. But what you want to be doing is you want to be thinking of it as little phrases. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to start with the track. I'm going to keep the time going, and then I'm going to play a bar of time, and then I'm going to play whatever the exercise is. I'm going to play number 1 from the upbeat placements, and I'm going to do it all on the snare a few times until I get the feel for it. Then I'll do it on the bass drum, and then I'll improvise, switching it around, getting a freedom with that. Here we go. So there's my bass. Okay, so I'm going to play some time. Just feel the time in there with that. That would be my cymbal time. Okay. Now I'm going to play the placement, starting on the snare drum. 1, and time. 1, time. 1. Now the bass drum. Time. 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 Now I'm going to mix it up a bit. Here we go. Maybe tom-tom. So I'm going quickly through this because I don't want to make the video too long. Let's take another one. Now, where it gets interesting is when you get more than one note. So if we look at, let's look at number 10. Okay, so we're going to play number 10. So we've got the last 2 upbeats. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play them on the snare, just all on the snare, then all on the bass drum. Then I'm going to start mixing it up with the snare and the bass drum. And this is where I'm starting to think more melodically. So bat, boom, or boom, bat. Okay, very simple. And again, I'm going to put a bar of time in between. Okay, so I'll put the time in the front of on this one. So I'll do a bar of time, then I'll play the exercise. Here we go. Number 10. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. So a few times until you get comfortable. Bass drum. Nice and light on the bass drum. So it's solid. It's firm, but it's not heavy. Get it? Snare. Now I'm going to mix them up. Hear that? So it's snare, bass drum. Now the other way round. Now I'm going to mess about. So I'm going to mix them up. Maybe some toms. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking one of those and then just really playing it a lot around the kit until I get really comfortable with it. And I'm orchestrating it all over the kit. And in my brain, I'm kind of I'm hearing the pitch, and I'm using that pitch, and I'm thinking kind of melodically. And I'm doing that bit I'm doing in real time as I'm thinking of it. So I'm kind of improvising the orchestration, even though I know what the rhythmic phrase is going to be. And I think that's a good way to work, because then what you're doing is you're thinking of music. And this is the goal, because that's what you're responding to when you're playing in the band. You're hearing the piano player going, jink, jink, or and so you're kind of like going with that. I think if you don't treat it too much like a drum exercise, that's what I'm trying to say. Try to treat it like a musical exercise, okay? Should we do one more? Let's try one more, you see what I mean? Let's try number 13. Okay, so now you got 3 notes. Okay, so now there's a lot more melodic possibilities here. Okay, here we go. Let's try that again at that same tempo. So number 13, I'll just leave you with that one, and then work through them all. Take your time. Don't do them all in one go. Maybe just pick a couple each day, but spend a good amount of time on each one all around the kit. That's what I would suggest you do. Here we go. I'll leave you with this number 13. Let's have a little go on this. Getting to the end of the sequence, we're on a blues here. I don't know, I find it weird to play halfway through a sequence. Here we go. So 1. Now mixing it up. Just using those 2 voices, just the snare and the bass drum, I can get a lot of variations there on the same idea. And that's the bit I'm kind of improvising as I'm going along. And so I think that's a really good way to work. So if you like this, then, give us a little thumbs up on the video. I hope you find that useful. Now, what I'm actually leading up to here is I've got a book on jazz comping, a whole book on it. It's a big topic, and these 15 placements are the first chapter. It's the first step, because the first step is to get your coordination together. And in the book, then what I do is I take that to the next level, where I start combining these phrases, and we start working on melodic phrasing ideas that gets into polyrhythms. There's all sorts of things. There's a chapter on checking out the masters, and then what I've done is I've recorded some tracks with the real professional jazz musicians, a trio, a rhythm section, and so there's a kind of music -1. So the idea is that you get to play with the professional section as well, and put all that into action. So do check that out. There'll be some links as well. So see you on the next one. Hope you find that useful. Let me know what you think. Drop us a line, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheerio.